We're here at the site of K-H Butte, directly behind me. In October of 1881, the only known real stand-up fight between a large force of Apaches and federal forces occurred right here. This is a result of an event that happened with the attempted arrest of a medicine man in Cibecue, Arizona, in August of 1881. This medicine man, a member of the Coyoteros tribe, was performing the ghost dance, or what was later to be called the ghost dance. The federal forces, the U.S. government, saw this as agitation and an attempt to start an uprising. And in August, they came to arrest this medicine man. They arrested him at his house, and while they were leaving Cibecue, they were attacked by Apache warriors who weren't willing to let this man be taken hostage. In this fight, the medicine man was wounded, and the federal troops, under order by their officer, bludgeoned him to death, even though he wasn't dead yet. Geronimo, and a couple other Apache warrior leaders of the Chiricahua tribe saw what happened with the Coyoteros and this medicine man and decided that the reservation was going to get worse, and made a plan to break out. September 30th, 1881, around 10:30 at night, they did just that. 74 warriors, men, all armed with Springfield rifles per every account, and well armed with ammunition, took 300 women and children out of the reservation, headed south to get to Mexico. They knew they didn't have enough supplies to make it there with what they had. They were going to raid their way across the country to do so. And raiding is exactly what they did. They struck a number of individuals on their way out, a couple ranches, but most importantly a freight train carrying supplies from Wilcox to the San Carlos Reservation. They laid wait, ambushed this freight train, and thought that they killed everyone associated with it. One man survived, wounded through the knee. He pretended to be dead. They poked him with a rifle muzzle in the back and took the cartridge belt off of him as he laid there, pretending to be dead. They took all the supplies of the wagon train, a bunch of mules, and proceeded on their way. They got near to K-H Butte, and this is where they laid ambush to some federal soldiers. We're at the closest federal breastline position. You can see right behind me, I placed my Springfield carbine in what would have been a firing position. These breastworks are actually left from the fight. This is original. This is the closest location that the Federals got besides a ravine over here during the 6 hours of sustained combat. So here we are at the forwardmost breastworks position, about 550 yards from the top of the butte. And you can see that the angle of fire is approximately 15 degrees from where we're engaging at. And the suspicion is as to why so few people were actually hit by incoming fire on both sides is that when you're shooting high at an angle or shooting low at an angle, you actually will hit high. You actually have to aim at a lower or shorter distance than you actually think the target is at. And these bullets may have actually been going over the top of the hill and over the tops of the breastworks. We don't really know for sure, but that's the theory. At this moment, there's actually a man at the top of K-H Butte. We will try to put a red circle around him if you can't see him. But to give you guys an idea of what a person looks like in the field at this distance, this should give you an idea. It's microscopic. Trying to hit anything with this with a sighted rifle or an optically enhanced rifle would be a challenge. With iron-sighted carbines, that might give you some idea as to why people weren't hitting one another. The desperation the indigenous people felt at this point due to these ongoing wars against them was what led up to this practice of the ghost dance. Ultimately, the arrest of this medicine man at San Carlos, this battle at K-H Butte from the breakout from the reservation, and then 9 years later, the Lakota people suffered a massacre at Wounded Knee for the same reasons. One of their medicine men was practicing the ghost dance, an attempt to recontact the spirits of their ancestor, bring back all of these lost dead relatives and friends that have been lost due to this war. It was really a sense of desperation that brought about this type of spiritualism, and the U.S. Army and the federal government didn't understand it, resulting in more than one massacre. Here we are at the top of K-H Butte. This would have been the Apache fighting position. Scattered throughout the top of the hill here are breastworks and reinforcements for that 6-hour firefight. Below me, between these two yucca plants, you can see the 550-yard and 660-yard federal positions. They reinforce those positions as well. It's a 15-degree angle from here to there and back and forth. That would explain some of the difficulty in striking a hit from either one of these distances, not to mention the actual extreme distance they're firing at. While the Apaches struck one of the flanks of the Federals, the women and children escaped up into the mountains through the saddle to my right where those cattle are. Once the women and children were safe, the Apache warriors fell back, laying down fire the whole time, back to the top of the hill, through that saddle, back to their women and children, and ultimately made it into Mexico, which was their goal the whole time. Thank you for watching another episode of Old West Vignettes on InRange TV. Click subscribe and tell your friends.